Okay, so you are with Poppy. We're at Pop's place, and this is gonna be an experiment in something new because I finally bought a camera. Yes, I have been filming on my little iPhone for months and months, and I'm finally just tired of it because it was a lack of space and I didn't have the flexibility that I would have with the camera, so I finally bought a camera. We're gonna try this. I hope it comes out. I'm glad that you're joining me today. Tonight, we're gonna make a lovely comfort food for terribly, and I do mean terribly, frigid days. We actually have a pretty warm afternoon, but it's gonna get cool tonight. I'm gonna make meatballs and taters, or meatballs and potatoes as it really should be called. And it's a very simple recipe. It cooks up on the stove. It's a one-dish meal kind of thing. So delicious, so divine. I'm gonna get back together with you in just a moment and we're gonna look at some ingredients. I hope you'll join us, take part, and I appreciate you coming by today to Pop's Place. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Okay, so here are some of our ingredients that we're gonna need for taters and meatballs. So delicious. So we're gonna use some oil for frying up the meatballs at first, and the taters and the onions, and then we've got just a little over a pound of ground beef. That's kind of flexible. You know, you want at least a pound of ground beef. We have some breadcrumbs. Yes, plain breadcrumbs. Now I'm going to tell you, can you use Italian breadcrumbs? Yes, but this is not an Italian dish. So I don't tend to do that. I throw in just a little bit of Maggi Pollo, and I know that that is a chicken bouillon, but it just adds a nice complexity and flavor to things. I've got a can of milk. We won't use the whole thing there. We have some garlic. We have an onion. I have some minced onion for the meatballs. I have some Tony Chacher's Creole seasoning, and then some thin-skinned potatoes. Now, my grandmother would have said, you got to use Irish potatoes. That means Irish potatoes. She was talking about the old red potatoes, and you can use those. I just have these in the house, so just something with a thin skin, and we're going to need about 4.5 cups of thinly sliced potatoes to go into this dish. So when we come back, we'll begin with preparation, and I know you're going to love it. It's going to be fabulous, and it's going to make a great dinner. Okay, so, you know, this is different for different folks. I want to make sure I'm getting you in the shot here. I kind of eyeball it. Like, I know I need about 4.5 cups of potatoes. I'll grab a potato, and I'll be like, okay, this looks like about a cup. So I think we're okay with that. So there's 1 cup. This looks like almost a cup, 2 cups. By the time I peel them, we say 3 cups. These are a couple of smaller ones, 4 cups, and then we'll go with a half. So by the time I peel them, this should come up to about 4.5 cups of sliced potatoes. I don't wash my potatoes whenever I'm cutting them up, peeling them. Before I cut them, I will, but when I'm actually peeling them, I don't wash them. I will peel them, put them directly into the sink, wash them there, and then we'll come back with the mandolin slicer and slice them up. So we'll be back in a moment. Okay, so now when I'm peeling a potato, I usually use tater peeler and just do this. Now, there are a lot of things that I will send down my disposal. Potato peel is not one of them. Is it because it'll damage? No. It's basically because potato, when it's rotten, smells absolutely dreadful. It smells like roasted rear end. So I definitely don't want that in my kitchen at any level. So I'm peeling the last of these. In a moment, we'll grab the mandolin slicer and cut them up real thin so that they're purdy. And we'll just cover those up and set them aside, and then we'll chop our onions. Okay, so I don't highly recommend this. I did wash these potatoes. I'm using this mandolin slicer, and if you have one of these, let me just caution you, you can take a finger off with this, so be very careful. Most of the time, these have a safety grip that will grip the top of whatever vegetable you're cutting. I just tend to get to the bottom and move out of the way, because I have really seriously injured myself with this mandolin slicer, the very one that you're looking at right here. And so I'm just going to slice these up. Now basically what we're after, a little thicker than a tater chip, you know, but I'm going with the largest setting on my mandolin slicer, and I'm just going to run these through. I do this same slicer with a lot of veggies. I do it with squash because I really like a thin squash when I'm cooking it, and we'll have to do a squash night so I can show you some of that. Oh, drop that tater. There you go, baby. Once we get all of these sliced up. We'll come back and take care of the onions, which that's an easy chop. We're not really going to go crazy with that. I'm thinking about just cutting it in rings and then cutting those in half, just so we just have onion strips in this, because that's kind of a nice way to do that. Then we'll put together our meatballs, which, y'all, yes, you can buy meatballs. Do you want to buy meatballs? If it's a busy night and you know that you got to take the kids somewhere, you got to do something, buy your meatballs. I just suggest if you buy meatballs that you buy the home style, not the Italian style, unless you're going to make the dish Italian style. Completely up to you. And again, do what makes you happy. All right, so now we got the onion. The onion is beautiful. The onion is sexy. I just noticed I didn't turn on any of my kitchen lights under cabinet or any of that. Now, I use my sink kind of as a garbage receptacle, and that may not be the best idea. Sorry about that if you don't approve. I've got two sides to my sink. One side is for dishes and one side is for food and waste. And so if I ever put food in a sink, I'm definitely going to wash it really good. But like what you don't see is when I get done with food in that sink, or I get done with waste in that sink, I clean that bad boy with bleach. All right, so let me try to show you this. I don't have one of them fancy islands in my kitchen so I could just do a face on. You can see everything I'm doing. That's just not how we roll here. Unfortunately, I am in a townhouse and we don't have very much space. So I'm just cutting these in thin, rings like I would for hamburgers or whatever. And it's really not a big deal. Doesn't have to be perfect. This doesn't even look like it has a huge core, so I'm not even gonna worry about that. But I'm just gonna cut these down the middle. Maybe a few cuts along the way, just to chop the onion. Looks good, looks sexy, that's what we want. So we have our onions, we have our potatoes. Now I'm gonna do this one in my electric skillet because I really like doing this one that way. But first we're gonna make up the meatballs. So, all right, so let's see if we can get this a little closer, a little better. I don't know if we can or not, we're gonna try. All right, so I've got my bowl with my meat. And what I'm going to do is, first things first, I'm going to add about, ooh, that was a mess, about 2/3 of a cup of breadcrumbs. And I'll do that in there. All right, very simple. Some ask me, do you use egg with this particular recipe? No. If I'm doing like Italian style meatballs, yes, depends. I'm gonna do about a tablespoon of minced garlic because it's sexy and that's what we want. Crazy, I know. Then I will do about 2 teaspoons of salt, pepper, and garlic powder in the mixture. I'm going to do about 3 tablespoons of minced onion. Maybe a little more. There you go. All right. Now, the next ingredient is canned milk. The trick with the canned milk is this. Where is my can opener? My goodness. Okay. So, with the canned milk, you shake it well, of course. I'm going to add my third. This can is more than a 1/3 cup. I don't throw this stuff away, y'all. I can use it when I'm making biscuits. I can use it when I'm making soup. I can use it when I'm making pasta or when I'm making anything. So I'm going to throw that in there as well. The rest of it is going to go into this little lidded jar that I can put in my fridge. So not bad, okay? Not bad at all. Okay, so I will pop that. Hopefully that'll all fit. And we'll put a lid on that and throw it in the fridge, and I can use that over the course of the next week. So not too bad. Now, I wish I could tell you there was an easy way to do this. I do start it out with a spoon just to kind of get stuff integrated, but ultimately you kind of got to go with your hands. I mean, that's just the way it is. So I am mixing all of this mixture: meat, milk, garlic, breadcrumbs, salt, pepper, sexiness in a bowl. All right. Why are you doing this way? I don't know. This is the way I always did it. So the way my grandma showed me how to do it. Okay, so that's about as far as you're going with that spoon. Now at this point, I'm gonna have to get in there like it's meatloaf and just make it my friend. You know what I mean? Know what I mean, Vern? My counter's clean, don't worry about it. You ain't gotta eat it anyway. So, all right. Mixing her up, mixing her up. And let me show you what we got to do. Now, I'm not going to use this hand because I got meat all over it, and I definitely don't want to handle my flour container with meat. I'm going to throw my flour in here just a little bit. Very nice. All of that is sexy. Still using my meat hand. All right, over here, I got my little scoopy scoop. Not too bad, not too shabby. So, we got some unified size meatballs. And I'm gonna drop them in this flour. You can use your dry hand for flour, your wet hand for the meatball. And then I'm gonna put them over on that little plate to set them up. And we should have a good bunch of meatballs when we're done with this. Now, all right, give them a roll. Unified size, unified shape, roll them in the flour, and that's just going to give them a nice coating when we fry them. So give it a shot. Where are we at? Come on, that's too much meat for that. Come on, baby. All right, another meatball into the drink. Not the drink, into the powder. Reminds me of making coconut balls at Christmas time, and I didn't even do that on camera this year. Maybe next year. We'll do it. Roll these in the flour. See how many meatballs we get out of this? Gonna be quite a few. My daughter, my youngest, is not a fan of meatballs because most of the time when you buy meatballs, either in a restaurant or you get them in the grocery store, they're gonna have some kind of sausage in them. She's not a sausage fan. So, and I think it's the fennel. She's not crazy about fennel in sausage, and I don't know. It just kind of makes me happy, but she ain't one of those to go with the sausage. So, at any rate, but when I make meatballs, I know what's in it. There's no sausage in this particular meatball, and I can confirm that to her that I made this myself, and she knows she ain't getting ripped off in the sausage process. You know what I mean? Or the meatball process. There's no sausage tricking her. Ain't gonna be no fennel in here because I didn't put it. And that's one of the good things about making your own meatballs. You know the quality of the meat that you're using. You know what's going in them. You know how they're working. Gonna do that. Roll them in the flour. You can kind of see where we're going. And I won't make you watch me make 75 meatballs, but really, this is it. Right now, we've got 9 meatballs, and I still got a bunch of ground beef to go. So I'm gonna finish making these up. We will come back when it's time to get started on the recipe. Okay, so this is done. We got meatballs, and I rolled them in flour. Probably got about 30 here. I'm not gonna count them, but that's my guesstimate out of 1.33 pounds of meat. Really easy way to make them. Doesn't take very long at all, and it's way better than what you could buy in a store. So simple, so easy. And if you're really feeling mean, you can make these up and put them on a hors d'oeuvre tray at the Christmas party. People would absolutely think that these were something covered in powdered sugar. Don't do that, please. You'll give somebody E. coli, and I couldn't live with myself if that happened. So don't. Just say no. Okay, so I hope you can see my pan. I've got just some regular old cooking oil, and I'll just do maybe a 1/4 cup or so in here so that we have something to fry these meatballs on. Again, this is only step 1. I'll start the meatballs, get them a good coat on the outside so that they are really nice and brown on the outside. They may not be cooked all the way on the inside, and that's all right, because then I'm going to go in and add potatoes and onions, cook those for a few minutes until they start to brown. We'll add some boiling water, some other seasonings, and I will add back the meatballs and let it all cook on a medium heat for about an hour. So we are putting the meatballs in one at a time, just giving them their space. You're going to get a little flour in the grease. Don't worry about it. That's part of it. Got it heated up all the way, but I will cut that temperature back. Basically, because an electric skillet doesn't get as hot as the stove necessarily, but you know, it's still delightful. Make sure we give this a good fry up in here. Try not to put them too close together so they fry good. All of our sexy meatballs to this beautiful concoction. And really all I do is just get me a pair of tongs and just kind of keep an eye on them. I let them cook on the outside. When they are done, I'll take them right back out and put them on this plate, and then we'll start with taters and onions. So just a few minutes. Now, once they start frying up and browning up, you don't have to be so ginger with them. You can actually use a spoon and just very gently toss them around in this grease. You still don't want to go crazy. I don't want to chop them up. I want an actual meatball when we're done with the process. You can see we got some pretty good meatballs here. Not perfect, but Poppy ain't perfect, baby. That's all I can tell you. Poppy ain't perfect. You know that. Y'all been watching me for a while. Okay, so this is what you get. Beautiful meatballs, browned all the way around. You can still see some pink in them, and that is okay. I've got some water on my boiler back here so that I can have some boiling water ready to go into this when it's time. I'll probably have to boil it twice because you know my schedule here. But we're just making sure that these are kind of nice and brown on all sides. Once we do that, very simple, we'll take them up and put them out on our plate. Get them aside. Let me do this. Let's see. Are they done? No. Don't eat them right now unless you like raw meat. And even then, it's kind of dangerous because E. coli and I don't know what else. All right, so in just a moment, let's go ahead. We're going to grab our onions. Onions into the fry. Beautiful. I'll set this one aside. And start these onions frying up. All right, now to that, as I am cooking, we'll add about a teaspoon or two of my seasoning blend, salt, pepper, and garlic powder. Not too much, but enough. Because, why would you put so much? You got it in the meatballs, now you got it in the mix itself. Yes, because potatoes are bland. Season them. Alright. Sorry about that. Get some Tonys. I'll probably do about a teaspoon of Tonys, which is just a little heat, not too much. We'll do that. We'll come back when it's time to add the potatoes. Yes. Those onions, we just let them cook down a little bit, not too much. My water is boiling back there. I'm sorry, we're a little early for all that. But we're just going to start these cooking. So we've got about 4 cups of taters. All of this is seasoned really nicely. We're going to let these fry up for just a little while. Start them browning. Okay, so taters are browning up real nice. We're going to come back with our meatballs. They are sexy. One renegade escaped my hungry mouth, and that's okay. And then we're going to add about 1.5 cups of boiling water. The reason I do boiling water is that I don't want it to stop the process of cooking right in the middle. So I've added that. Now I'm going to lid it. I'm going to turn my temperature down to about 350-ish, maybe 325. And we're going to let this simmer and cook for about 45 minutes to an hour. I'll know it's done when the taters are tender, and I'll watch it. If it needs more water, I'll add more water. But this will be our dinner with a salad. We'll put together some kind of vegetable with it also, and it's going to be great. Well, you always know when the food is going to be good because the dog comes to the kitchen and wants to scrounge what I'm making. So, today it was a simple one, meatballs and taters, and that is just some good old southern food. Very good, very filling, really hot right now, but that's okay because you know how it is. But anyway, 300 subscribers, y'all, we made it. Whoop, 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 whoop. We got to keep going, but I appreciate so much you being part of it. If you liked the video, click that like and then subscribe. Tell folks about it. Share the link. We're building a community here. We're not trying to, you know, this is not about making $1 million. This is about building a community of people that interact. And I get as much from you all commenting to me as you get from these videos. I promise you that. I have learned so much just from some of the comments and some of the things that people have said. So I appreciate it so much. Thank you for being a part of it. I did not mention it yet, but we reached our 250 subscriber goal, so I am giving away one of my ceramic coated cast iron Dutch ovens. There's about 12 colors to choose from, and I'm still taking names. The key was you had to be a subscriber and you had to email me at my email address, emailpopsplace@gmail.com, and just drop me a note. Doesn't have to be a 4-page letter. Just send me a note and say, I'm interested in the pot drawing, you know, pot, like the cookware drawing. Anyway, but just let me know. Just email me, let me know, and I will put your name in the hat. I'll reply back that I got your email. We'll put your name in the hat. Then at the end of February, we're going to do a random draw and pull somebody's name, and one of my subscribers is going to win one of those ceramic coated cast iron Dutch ovens. I know you're going to like it. I know you're going to enjoy cooking with it. I love cooking with mine. So anyway, all right. Now, y'all, I'd be lying to you if I told you that meatballs and taters was cute, because they're not cute. The taters fall all to pieces. That doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me. I'm gonna give it a shot. The potatoes, yes. Y'all, I'm not kidding you. I'm just telling you, if somebody made this for me, I would marry them. I would. I would fall in love with them and marry them. It's just that good. And you think I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding. So anyway, thank you for dropping by. We appreciate it. Hopefully the new camera works, and we'll see if any of this happens. I think the last few videos I did without a microphone on, so I'm gonna have to do some voiceover, but we'll work it out. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye from Pop's Place.